This book is no ordinary book and should not be read through from beginning to end. This book is no ordinary book and should not be read through from beginning to end. It contains many different adventures. This book is no ordinary book and should not be read through from beginning to end. It contains many different adventures. A level of competence in chemistry is essential to the professional practice of material conservation. 我刚才那一题应该一直练习的，太久没考了，有点忘了步骤。A level of competence in chemistry is essential to the professional practice of material conservation. A level of competence in chemistry is essential to the professional practice of material conservation. A level of competence in chemistry is essential to the professional practice of material conservation. A level of competence in chemistry is essential to the professional practice of material conservation. Two sisters were at a dinner party when the conversation turned to upbringing. The elder sister started to say bleh. Two sisters were at a dinner party when the conversation turned to upbringing. Two sisters were at a dinner party when the conversation turned to upbringing. 我还以为他出新题目了，原来都是旧题。手势打起来。Two sisters were at a dinner party when the conversation turned to upbringing. 刚刚那个 upbringing 感觉嘴瓢了。Children as young as 14 months old will spontaneously how about this for no reward? OK, 这题没看过。Children as young as 14 months old will spontaneously how about this for no reward, but a study of 3 to 5 years old found that. Children as young as 14 months old will spontaneously how about this for no reward, but a study of 3 to 5 years old. Children as young as 14 months old will spontaneously have others for no reward, but a study of 3 to 5 years old. Orientalists, like many other early 19th century thinkers, conceive of humanity either in large collective terms. 又是旧题。Orientalists, like many other early 19th century thinkers, conceive of humanity either in large collective terms. Orientalists, like many other early 19th century thinkers, conceive of humanity either in large collective terms. 有一点绕口。Orientalists, like many other late 19th century thinkers, conceive of humanity either in large collective terms. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster. As we progress into the 21st century, communications are becoming faster and faster.
In the 1880s, cycling became a major phenomenon in Europe.
In 1880, cycling became the famous phenomenon in Europe.
Inflation rose by 2% over this time last year.
Inflation rose by 2% over this time last year.
We've been doing research in that area for probably over 25 years.
We've been doing research in that area for probably 25 years.
Let's see if the technology is going to cooperate for this presentation.
Let's see if technology is going to cooperate in this presentation.
Soil erosion can be caused by increased rainfall and changes in plant growth.
Soil erosion can be caused by increased rainfall and changes in plant growth. 我的妈呀，什么题呀？
There will be no classes scheduled during exam week.
There will be no classes scheduled during exam week. 嘴瓢了。
We have very little actual documentation of it.
We have very little documentation of it. 我喜欢闭着眼睛说。
The final exam will test material from all chapters covered in class this term.
The final exam will test materials from all chapters covered in this exam. 说错了。
Students are not allowed to take journals out of the library.
Students are not allowed to take journals out of the library.
The area of Canada is more than 3.8 million square miles.
The area of Canada is more than 3.8 million square miles. States and state equivalents that spend the most per student. New York, New Jersey, District of Columbia, Vermont, Connecticut. $14,119, $13,800. This graph shows information about states and state equivalents that spend the most per student. The highest value can be found by New York, which is $14,119. The second highest can be found by New Jersey, which is $13,800. The third can be found by District of Columbia, which is $12,979. The lowest can be found by Connecticut, which is $11,572. In conclusion, the value of New York is higher than the value of Connecticut. Income by age and gender in the UK. Median income pre-tax pound, age, gender both female, male. Under 20, 45, 49, 75 and over. This graph shows information about income by age and gender in the UK. This is measured in median income pre-tax in pounds. For both, the highest value can be found by 45 to 49 years old, which is £25,000. The lowest value can be found by under 20, which is £10,000. For female, the highest value can be found by 30 to 34 years old, which is £20,000. For female, the highest value can be found by 50 to 54 years old, which is £30,000. In conclusion, all three lines have the same trend. Where international companies have their European headquarters, number of European headquarters, UK, Germany, Switzerland, France, Netherlands, Ireland, Belgium, Spain, Denmark. This graph shows information about where international companies have their European headquarters. This is measured in number of European headquarters. The highest value can be found by UK, which is about 220. The second highest value can be found by Germany, which is about 50. The next value can be found by Switzerland and France and Netherlands, which is about almost 50. The lowest value can be found by Denmark, which is about 10. In conclusion, the value of UK has the highest number of headquarters. Percentage of households with selected consumer durables, UK, percentages, telephone, microphone, CD player, mobile phone, 2001, 2007. This graph shows information about percentage of households with selected consumer durables in UK. This is measured in percentages. For 2001 and 2002, the highest value can be found by telephone, which is about 90. The second highest value can be found by microphone, which is about 80%. The lowest value can be found by mobile phone, which is 25%. For 2007, the highest value can be found by telephone as well, which is about 90%. In conclusion, the value of 2007 is averagely higher than 2001. 我都不知道有没有 averagely 这个词，顺口就说出来了。Precipitation, average temperature. Okay. Precipitation, average temperature. This graph shows information about precipitation and average temperature. For precipitation, the highest value can be found in October, which is about 400 millimeter. The second highest value can be found by September, which is about 300 millimeter. The lowest value can be found by February and December, which is about 10 millimeter. For average temperature, the highest value can be found by July and August, which is about 30 degrees Celsius. The lowest value can be found by December, which is around 5 degrees Celsius. In conclusion, we have the highest temperature in July and August.
Now, economists calculate, and it's a back-of-the-envelope calculation, that removing all immigration controls would double the size of the world economy. And even a small relaxation of immigration controls would lead to disproportionately big gains. Now, from an ethical point of view, it's hard to argue against a policy that would do so much to help people who are much poorer than ourselves. The famous RAND study reckons that the typical immigrant who arrives in the US ends up $20,000 a year better off. And it's not just the migrants themselves who gain, it's the countries that they come from. Already, the migrants working from poor countries, working in rich countries, send home around $200 billion a year through formal channels, and perhaps twice that through informal channels. And that compares to the mere $100 billion that Western governments give in aid. And those remittances, they're not wasted on weapons, they're not siphoned off into Swiss bank accounts, they go straight into the pockets of local people. They pay for food, they pay for clean medicine, clean water, they pay for medicines. They help keep kids in school. They help start up new businesses.
This lecture shows information about immigration. Firstly, immigration control will double. Secondly, this will have big gains. Next, this helps the poor. Also, migrants and countries they came from will benefit. And then there are formal and informal channels. In conclusion, this goes straight to the pockets of the local people. And this lecture shows how immigration can be essential.
Coming out of the 19th century with all that happened, and so quickly, some of these ideas, some of these theories, like thermodynamics and kinetic theory, they didn't blend the way they should have. Thermodynamics has its roots in matter, how material things respond to heat and temperature and so forth. The laws of thermodynamics were thought to be absolute. Now take kinetic theory. If matter consists of atoms in random motion, and that's what matter is, then you open up the possibility that there will be fluctuations in samples of matter such that the laws of thermodynamics can momentarily be violated. Are the laws of thermodynamics valid? Absolute? Are they obeyed statistically? On average, they're obeyed, but they can be violated during unusual times, all right?
This lecture shows information about interplay of physical theories. Firstly, this lecture mentions thermodynamics, which is material response to heat and temperature. Secondly, the lecture mentions kinetic theory, which are atoms in random motion. Also, some ideas are about thermodynamics. After that, it opens up the possibility of fluctuations in samples. Also, they obeyed on average the data. In conclusion, this lecture shows information about physical theories.
Does mathematics or linguistics cover the study of the relationships between numbers?
Mathematics.
What's the word for the fourth basic arithmetical operation? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and
division.
A jar contains 8 black marbles and 2 white marbles. If I select one marble at random, what color is it most likely to be?
Black marbles.
What is formed when snow melts?
Water.
What building on campus can you borrow books from?
Library.
A group of 3 university teachers are discussing their university's open day.
Are you both coming to the university's open day?
Yes, of course I'm coming. We're all expected to, aren't we?
Yes. Why do you ask? Aren't you coming?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to be here. But to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure why we're having one. We don't really need to attract more students. We have a good reputation as one of the best universities in the country, and this is reflected in the high number of applications we receive from gifted students, both from here and from overseas. As it is, we already have to turn so many strong applicants away. It seems to me that by trying to increase the demand to study here, all we're going to do is disappoint more and more students.
I admit that could be one of the effects, but I understand why we're having an open day. Prospective students are looking to find out whether or not we're going to be a good fit for them. They want to get a feel for what we can offer them. Even if they're sure they want to enrol, it helps us to manage expectations better if they have some idea of what it's like to study here.
That's true, Eleanor. But I also think there's another reason for doing it. Our high reputation leads some young people to think they aren't good enough to study here, and so they don't bother applying. Typically, they're from a state school background and don't always have the self-confidence that is instilled in students from private schools. We have to show them that people from all backgrounds can be successful here if they have the talent.
Yeah, I can see how recruiting applicants from a range of backgrounds will lead to a more diverse student community here. I know we've sometimes been accused by our critics, unfairly in my opinion, of being kind of an elitist institution, so this is probably a good thing. In fact, in my classes, I've had a number of students from more modest backgrounds who perform to a very high standard.
The university has recruited a number of first-year student volunteers who'll be there to welcome visitors and show them around. They'll try to reflect the university's move towards greater diversity. I know those chosen from our department have been properly briefed. They're a good lot and we can depend on them. I only hope that the other departments have made their choices with this in mind.
Yes, As well as showing them around, they'll also sit with them over coffee and try to answer any questions that come up. I'm pleased that they've been encouraged to be completely honest with their answers, rather than just try and paint a perfect picture of the university, because I'm sure prospective students would be able to recognise a sales pitch if they heard it.
This discussion is about 3 university teachers, and they're discussing the necessity of open day. The first teacher said that there's no need an open day because there's no need to attract more students because the university has a very strong international status. The second teacher mentioned that students should have some idea to study here, so an open day is necessary. The third teacher said that because of the high reputation of the university, it actually pushes the prospective students away. So all backgrounds should be successful in this university, so they should have an open day. And then the first student agreed with the other 2 teachers eventually. They also mentioned that question and answer sections is very necessary to give honest answers. In conclusion, they are discussing the necessity of an open day in a university which has a very high international rank. Even though they have a good image and attract a lot of the students, they still should have an open day so that people who have questions can get an answers directly. 我真的没话说了，我的妈呀！
中途插播一下，这个是原文的部分，有需要的同学可以按暂停。这个是我刚刚现场答题的版本，这个是我第2次模考使用的带模板的答题版本，大家可以参考一下。操作方法是在长达1分钟29秒的音频中，记录下原句简化版的小简单句，大概9到10句左右，然后直接配合模板照念，最终得分和前面即兴发挥的版本是一样的。
A group of 3 students are discussing their job search.
I'm so glad my day's over. I've been looking at screens all day, writing script. My eyes hurt. My brain feels fried.
Tell me about it. I've been on my laptop putting the finishing touches on my term paper for my Contemporary American Literature course, and I'm exhausted. Oh, yeah, and I still haven't heard back from any of the jobs I've applied to, so I'm going to have to find some time somewhere to work on more job apps. Have you 2 been applying anywhere?
Yeah, a bunch. The graphic design space seems really competitive right now. Most companies want years of experience. It's like, how do you get experience if nobody wants to hire you for it? Everyone in my department is having similar struggles. Some have got work, some haven't. Anyway, I talked to one of my professors, and she suggests not focusing only on finding full-time work. She said I should look to snag some freelance gigs to build my portfolio. So that's what I'm currently doing.
Sounds like a good idea. You gotta show initiative. Have you both been checking out the Career Center resources? They offer lots of workshops for students. Everything from tips on resume writing to mock interviews.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot there was a career centre on campus. I've just been so busy writing, reading and writing more for my classes and trying to apply for jobs in between. I can't believe I didn't think to do that. I'll have to check it out before it gets too late and I graduate. How about you? People with computer science degrees must be in high demand. Are all the tech giants fighting over you?
Not quite. But there have been some interesting calls. The interview process can be brutal, though. Last week, I had one where they asked me to code live on the spot. Talk about pressure. So weird to have people looking at you while you're doing that on a video call. But yeah, the tech world is booming, that's for sure. But you both shouldn't sell yourself short. There are definitely jobs for writers out there. They may not pay much, but how bad do you need the money right now? Your parents are rich. They can support you while you work on your first novel.
They might not be too thrilled about that idea, but yeah, maybe if I get a low-paying job that isn't too stressful, I can spend my time outside of work writing my first book. It would be even better if that were a remote job.
No commute and no boss looking over my shoulder could really make it easy to find the time to write.
See? There you go. The job market might be tough, but with some creativity and effort, we can all find something that fits our skills and interests.
Three students are discussing job searching. The first student is looking at screens all day and her eyes hurt. The second student mentioned that he is very exhausted because of an assignment and there's no reply from job applications as well. The third student said that her professor suggested that she look for part-time job, which can be easier than full-time job. Back to the first student, she suggests that we should look for a career center for some advice. The second student also mentioned that she forgot about this option and he wanted to check it out and try it. The third student also mentioned that the interview process are very brutal and she is afraid of the eye contact. In the end, they're discussing the popularity of art and science students in the job market, and they are teasing each other.
还是跟上一题一样，文本、即兴发挥、带模板。
You chose to study on a politics course, but you have changed your mind. You think a history course might be better, but you're not sure what the course includes. What do you say to your teacher to get some advice?
Hi, teacher. My name is Mary, and I wish to get some advice from you. I originally selected political course, but then I changed my mind and I wish to enroll in history course. So I have no idea what is included in the history course and what are the outcomes of finishing these courses. So I wish that you can tell me all about it so that I can make my decision.
我又来了，即兴发挥，带模板。
You bought a car last week. You want to start driving it to school, but you need to buy a parking pass. You know your friend drives their car and parks on campus. You decide to ask your friend where you can get a parking pass, how much it is, and where you should park. What do you say?
Hi, John. I just bought a car last week. Hi, John. I just bought a car last week. I'm so excited to start driving it to school so that I don't need to wait for the bus or the train or the ferry. But I think I should need to buy a parking pass. I thought you should have it, so I come and ask you about it. I think that you drive your car and parks on campus, is it right? So where do you get your parking pass? Is it from the student center? And how much does it cost? Is it very expensive? And where I should park my car? Should I just park anywhere I want? Just empty spaces or where?
最后一个，即兴发挥，带模板。大家可以看到，无设计的版本和用模板的版本都可以获得口语90以及听力90分的成绩。阅读和写作的部分，我还在测试容错率以及模板的使用。但是，即便在阅读只有84分，写作只有75分的情况下，总分依旧可以获得90。初步可以说明，在改革之后 ，PTE 总分的容错率是有在变大的。